In this module, we continue our discussion on software for post-production with a deeper look at DaVinci Resolve as we edit our film Wrong Number. This is the Filmmakers Bootcamp, and you're at the DaVinci where it's film school for the rest of us. Let's start talking about the third tool, and that's DaVinci Resolve. And again, as we're talking about this, I'm going to go ahead and start it up so you can kind of see the startup process and what these screens look like. As this starts off, I'll just remind you, the video editing portion of what I'm going to show you here with DaVinci, it and HitFilm Express are very similar. Now, of course, they're different because they're made by different companies and they have, different buttons and things like that. But the workflow is very similar. You've got a media library, you've got your timeline, you've got your preview windows. Very intuitive to work with. DaVinci starts to load. It will bring up this project management window where you can see projects you've already worked on, or you can create a new project. I'm going to go ahead and say new project. I'm going to give this a title. And let's just call this Wrong Number DaVinci Style. And I'll hit Create. Now there's all kinds of setup and configuration that I've already done. I'm not going to go through that. Do some internet searching on your own to figure out what kind of configuration you might want. You may even just leave it at the default settings once if you install this and start using it. You will want to investigate that and do some research to see if there's any kind of default configuration choices you may want to set up so that every time you open up DaVinci, you have some settings chosen that you may have found suit you best. When this loads up, if you look down here towards the bottom, I've got these icons here. This first one, this controls the screen to the media library. This is the edit window. Up here is where you'll see your video previews. And, of course, there's nothing there because we have, number one, nothing in the library and nothing in the timeline. This is our video/audio editor down here. And then up here is our media pool. And here's some built-in effects. That's a nice thing too about, all three programs come with built-in effects, and it's just a matter of learning how to use them. And then as well as a library of paid plugins that you can use to add to. Okay, so that is the edit screen. This screen here, you can see the label here is Fusion. I'm not going to click on this right now. This is a new integration within DaVinci Resolve 15. When I first got DaVinci Resolve, it was version 14. It did not have Fusion, but 15 does. And this is very similar to the compositor that Blender uses. Now, one of the things I absolutely love about Blender is the node-based compositing, and I'm very comfortable working in the Blender compositor. This is similar. It's again a node-based compositing, but it only because of my lack of familiarity with it, it's been a little hard for me to understand. I haven't spent much time trying to figure it out. This right here, this color tab, this is one of the things DaVinci specializes in, and that's color grading and color correction. And we will, in a later module, be visiting this tab here as we work on our film to do some color correction and grading. This is called Fairlight. And this is also, I think this was in DaVinci 14. Can't quite remember. I think it was. But this is an audio editor. So when I get my audio tracks into my timeline, they'll show up here. And this will be an expandable mixing board that you can pull out. Will represent all the channels of audio that you have, and there's built-in EQ and audio effects and things like that. You will find that when you record audio in your films, very rarely are you going to just use that audio capture just in its raw format. No matter what mics you're using, you're always going to probably need to do some kind of EQ shaping, and that's what I use this Fairlight tab for. This last tab here, this is where you then do your file export. You choose your video format, your audio format, where you want to save your file, and you do your rendering from here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and we are going to work on editing our film, bringing our film clips in that we did for our short film Wrong Number, and then starting to stitch together those clips into a final film. And I'm kind of just shooting from the hip here, and but I wanted to approach this module this way, where it's a little more raw and not as pre-planned, so that you can kind of just see kind of the editing process and what you'll go through in the editing process. So I'm going to come up here to File, and I'm going to scroll down to here to Import File to Import Media. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go get our footage that we shot. All right, so here I have a bunch of footage, video footage, as well as this is my recording of the dialogue. And then I've also, and I'll show this to you later too, where I go for a lot of my free sound effects and music that I use in my films. But I've also brought in a file for a phone ring. So the first thing I want to do is figure out what footage. Now I kind of previewed already ahead of time some of the clips, but not all of them. So I'm going to start bringing in footage. So I know I need 5867. I also need 5872. And I need 5867. Oh, I got that one already. 5876. And now I'll just say open. And you'll see this too. The clips have a different frame rate than the current project settings. Would you like to change your timeline frame rate and video format to match? And I'm going to go ahead and just say change. So now you can see my video footage appears here in the media library. Now there's also some other footage here that I need, and go here to desktop, lab 1. Remember our over the shoulder, okay? So you can also take footage, you can just drag it directly into the clip. Here's our other kind of our point of view shot, and I think we are going to need this one, and we're definitely going to need the audio of the phone and of the dialogue. And I think we'll stop there. If there's anything else that we find we need, we'll come back to this folder here and look for it. All right, so now we've got our footage into our media library. So the first one I'm going to start with is 5867, which is this one right here. So I'm going to just double click on that. You can see now my layout window here has changed. And just in similar fashion, here it is, hit film. This is the preview of the footage that's coming out of the media library. This is the preview of the footage that's in the timeline. It's the same thing here in DaVinci. Here's what's coming out of my media library. Here's what will be coming out of my timeline. This tool right here I can then use to scrub through and preview the video footage and find pieces that I want. So let's go ahead and start doing that. Now I don't necessarily know. I'm just going to start right here. I'm going to hit the I key on the keyboard, and that's kind of my in point. And I'm going to go ahead and drag. Now I might get a little more than I need because I'll adjust as I go. And I'm going to hit O for out. All right, so now if I drag this video clip just from here into my timeline, it's going to drag both audio and video from these in point and out points. Could also drag just this from here, which would bring in the video only without audio, or I could drag here on the audio portion and drag that in without grabbing any video. But because I need both, I'm just going to drag from here. I'm going to bring it down into my timeline, and you can see there it is. And now I have a preview here of the timeline. So again, using this tool here, I can scrub. I can scrub from here in the timeline. I can scrub from here. All right. I'm not going to try to spend so much time telling you how to use DaVinci. That will be tutorials you'll have to get on your own. So there's my first video clip, and let's go see what we got here. So I'm starting off with a wide shot. Then I want to come in here to the side shot here. Now, a couple things to notice. I'm going to scrub through. I'm looking at my video. See how my right hand is sitting on that table. Okay. So what I want to do in my secondary footage is I want to find I want to find a segment where my right hand, and pretty much for the most part, it's sitting there. Okay, here's where I reach for the phone. So I'm going to just, I'll start right there. I'll say that's my in point. And then I'm going to go ahead. Okay. Maybe I'll stop right there. Hit O for my out point. And I'll drag it in here. And I'm going to turn this magnet tool on because it helps these clips snap together. And then for scrubbing, I'll turn it back off again. Let's kind of just see how these two clips fit together. So it's a matter of, remember when we talked about coverage, we talked about getting multiple angles. So that's what I've done, and now I'm just trying to find very similar stuff between the shots, you know, and bring them in. Okay, now here I'm reaching for my phone. All right. Okay, you can see this little spike here in the audio where I say hello. I want to keep that. All right, and let's turn this magnet tool back on. So then it puts me right at the end of that clip. Let's see. Yeah, we'll grab this here. So let's find where I acted that out. Okay, there I am, right there. Okay, so there I'm reaching for my phone. I've said hello. Phone is to my mouth. Okay, let's try right there. I'm going to hit I for input. All right, so there I am putting it back into my pocket. I'll just punch out right there. I'm going to go ahead and drag that in, and let's then scrub through this and see. So we've got reaching for the phone. Okay. All right, so when you're cutting, you want to cut on action, or when you're editing, you want to edit on action, right? Because you want to string these clips together in a way that's really believable. So editing on action, just remember that term. All right, you want to try to match the action from one shot to the next. Okay, now notice in this segment right here, I'm pretty still. I've leaned into the table, I'm still, but then when it cuts in here, I'm moving, and so it kind of doesn't feel right. So if I was, let me just back this up a little bit and hit play. Yeah, it doesn't quite feel right to me. I'm going to just slowly scrub through this to right there. Let's see if that'll work. I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger. I'm going to turn my snapping tool on, and I'm going to grab the end of this clip. Okay, and I'm going to bring these back in. Let's see how that feels. Okay, I don't like all that movement with my mouth, so I'm gonna go right to there. Turn that back on. Let's do this again. Go to right about there. Turn on that snapping. There we go. Let's grab this and bring it back together. And let's just see what that's like. I don't like that either. So it's just a lot of tweaking. Alright, and what I think I need to do is I just need to bring this out a little bit more. Alright, let's see how that is. No, I don't like that pacing. Remember we talked a little bit about pacing, and we said pacing was kind of like beats. All right, let's try that. And so your editing is going to be a lot of this type of, boy, I just don't like that. All right, let's try this. Let's bring this out a little more. Yes, I think I like that much better. That feels better to me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop it right there. Let me just scrub through this a little bit. Okay, I'm looking for another place to cut, and so the phone comes down, my hand touches it, my other hand right there. All right, and let's go ahead and snap that like so. All right, let's just look at, maybe this is the one here. All right. And we're going to go one more in. I'm going to hit I for input. Okay. I put the phone away. And I pick up. And I'm going to hit out right there. So let's go ahead and drag that, snap that into place. And let's see what these look like. So again, the idea here in cutting on action, you're trying to match actions. And I remember when we talked about coverage, we said that, you know, your goal is to get, you know, 3 angles from start to finish. That way you're getting the same basic movements and motions in each angle. And now when it comes to the editing, then you're just finding those actions and you're just trying to match them up, you know, as best as you can.